Alrighty then, here we are back in the shed. We had a little warm day today, not bad though, didn't even reach 100, but it's about 4 p.m. Monday, the 1st of Og, the Wizard of Og. We did a preliminary checkout on this chassis, hooked it up to the DEM bulbs, Dumb and Dumber, and didn't get much of a response. Well, actually no response at all on anything. So we wasn't pulling that heavy of demand off the DEM bulbs, so I pulled it off, put it on full power, and she is was climbing a little bit there. I forget what this thing was rated at. It was under 100 watts, and it was pulling about 120 watts. So, and I was barely getting any scratches out of the thing, but I wasn't getting anything across the bands. Upon further investigation after that, I got in here, and let's see if I can get a pointing device. I got in here, let me zoom in a little bit, or else this thing is going to go out of focus. You see that wire right there? Now this is on the band spread. This end down here, this mechanism is kind of unique. Those knobbies there, you see how they, when you go to rotate the chinkawonky there, they will eventually spread out and start to separate, and it moves this gizzy thing here back and forth, that in that span. You see here, there, that rod is continuous from the core in here, through there, through the core in there, through here where it's fastened to this gizmo, and goes into the core in this coil. Well, I found that this one was loose. It came from somewhere. I believe it's from right down in there. I got to scope it out, but it's kind of tough doing it down through all this snake-a-thon here. Look at this one here. I mean, that one there is broke loose. I think it goes onto one of these lugs here. And it seems to me there was another one here that is broke loose. Yeah, right there. That one there is broke loose. I think it goes to there. And this one here is broke. Now, that span right there is missing. I don't know if a rat or a mouse or a possum came in and started gnawing on this thing. I'm thinking that's what, because see, some of the insulation here has been gnawed on, and that insulation there has been gnawed on. There's some of these wires in here, like right there, that's been chewed on a little bit. I don't know how in the hell something managed to get underneath it in this chassis, but it didn't happen by itself. So this is what I proposing to do. As you can see, I started disconnecting all of these wires. Now these wires here, those come from the band switch, this wafer on the end. This wafer on the end is for all the lamps in the dial area, showing you, indicating which band you've got it switched into. So this rear wafer here is the one that controls the light sequence. So I've got everything disconnected that goes to this side of that wafer switch and comes right down through there and comes over to this terminal block here. Now there is one on that side coming off the same wafer switch, different lugs that go down here to this terminal block, and from that terminal block the wires here for the indicator lamps for the bands on this side are going to be, I'm going to disconnect those. I've got the tuner disconnected from the band switch assembly. I've got the inputs from the antenna and phono connection that comes over here. That's the yellow and bluish color wires that come up here to the front wafer. Those are disconnected. I'm going to disconnect all of these on this side. I guess you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to extract this entire assembly. This whole block of things right here is going to come out. Here you can see, hopefully, where's my torch? Remove the mounts on that tuning shaft for the band spreads, and there are 4 lugs on these plates here, 2 up here on the front plate and 2 back here on the back plate, that are sandwiched with quick nuts through the top of the chassis, and this entire assembly will come out. When I say entire, I mean the whole kit and caboodle. All those trimmers are mounted up on these plates. All these trimmers are mounted up on these plates. There's a section of 3. There's a section of 3 on this side, 3 on that side, 3 on this side, 3 on that side, 3 on this side, and 3 on that side, on this end. So there's 3 times 6 is 8. There's 18 trimmers right there in that assembly that are going to come out along with all of this. So I'm going to pull all that out, and that'll give me a chance to get in here and do some thorough cleaning on all these wafer switches, contacts. And then I will be able to go through and have good access to parts unknown to get these braided wires back to these coils or wherever else they go to. I'm going to have to desolder all the connections to these back trimmers because they didn't bolt these up, they soldered them in. And I don't want to go through the whole mess of unsoldering it and soldering it back. Look at that wire. That wire is complete. It's got most, from there to there, a good inch long right there, is just chewed bare. It really loves the doggone fabric on the wires, but it don't like them wires, whatever it was. I made a count in here. There's just shy of 20, of 2 dozen capacitors. That's including the E-caps. So, that's what I've been doing so far. Is going through. I've enlarged a lot of the sheets so that I can blow this thing up and get a good view of it, of all my wafers. And there are two versions, maybe more, but I found two basic versions of the schematic for this 46888. This one here is a 42788. It is almost identical to this. If I go through and I trace it line connection to connection, it's probably exactly like this one. But as you can see, they take a different route. All the components are in different spots. The connections may be the same in both diagrams, but they're just formatted different. So I printed out both of these so I can validate one to the other, and wherever there's a discrepancy, I can see it. Fortunately, there are a couple of components in here that don't show up on the normal schematic or in the normal regular parts listing. But I managed to find an addendum release showing the changes and adaptations for the chassis, and it specifically covers those unmentionables in the schematic. It covers them in the updates. So because I was wondering where in the heck this was, I found all the other E-caps in the schematic, but that one there just eluded me, and I'm pulling my hair out wondering, well, it's around there somewhere. No, yeah. And I just happened to look into the version changes for this particular chassis, and that is covered in it, along with some other components. So that was a relief to see that it wasn't a phantom component. So so right now what I'm doing is disconnecting the lamp wiring, because I don't want to disconnect it from here. There's a loom going off this way, and there's a loom going off that way, and it'll just lift right out. There is not a whole lot of wiring connections to this assembly. I can break it either at a tube lug location, or here on the trimmer caps mounted on the back. Everything on this side and the tuner and the grounds for the tuner are all taken care of. I've got less than a half a dozen on this side, plus the 5 wires that go to the lamps on this side of the chassis. And then pull these 2 screws, take this hub off, remove the quick nuts on the top side of this that holds this assembly in, and this thing is going to come out in my hot, slimy little hands. So I've talked enough. You know what I'm up against, and whenever I get a break in the action, I'll give you some updates and show you specifically what's happening. So stay tuned. There will be a lot more.